Hello friends, Amy R here with Prairie Paper and Ink, back with a couple more Christmas cards. Again, white, gold, and black, because I just couldn't not with these ones. So, I have this 3D embossing folder. This is the Snowflake Oval Frame embossing folder that I'd bought. I think this came out around Black Friday at Simon Says Stamp. So I'd ordered it with a few other things. It just showed up recently, so I talked about that in a recent video with the shipping and postal services, overwhelmed, all the things. But it showed up, as excited, needed to make a video using it. So I've done a couple other videos showing these embossing folders and how it works for me. And the main thing I like to do is whatever cardstock I'm going to use in them, I like to lightly mist it with water. And I lay out my this is just my big flour sack cloth that I use for all sorts of things, but I like laying it out just to keep me from getting water all over all the things. And I just lightly mist the paper with the water. This is Simon's heavyweight white cardstock. And then I stick it in my embossing folder. I kind of line it up. These are A2 sized pieces, and I just kind of line them up with the design on the embossing folder. And with my machine, which is a Spellbinders Platinum, it's the same thing with the Platinum 6. The Platinum 6 is just a smaller machine. But the sandwich I figured works best for me with this is the platform. I have 2 metal shims and then the embossing folder with the cardstock. You can do other things. Simon has listed with their embossing folders different sandwich options for all the different machines, and so what works for everyone else. And then again, just you got to kind of experiment, because especially not everyone has 2 metal shims or even 1 metal shim. I recommend having them. They come in handy. But if you don't, you could use some pieces of cardstock, possibly a thin piece of chipboard. You just got to fiddle with what is going to work best for you and get you that good impression. So I did this twice, and you just get this gorgeous snowflake oval frame. So it's all pretty embossed. I wanted the background to be kind of subtle, but honestly, when I was first setting out to make these cards, I was really tempted to do the craft in pink like I did with my last snowflake cards, which I'm glad you guys really enjoyed that, the pink snowflakes. It was fun, and I nearly did it again with this because I was like, ooh, craft in pink, it would look amazing. But I just gold and black and white, there's something about it, and I think it's just that New Year's feeling that's going on too. I don't know. You can't go wrong with gold and black and white, really. So I just went with it. So, coming back to this voiceover, I had to stop because, one of the neighbors bought a box of fireworks and decided to just set them all off. Anywho, I mixed up a couple of the golds from the Gonzai Tombi palette. I had added just a bit of water to them off camera, swirled it up with my paintbrush, mixed the colors together, and then lightly splattered them on this background. I didn't go completely nuts. I didn't want a ton of splatter because while it looks subtle on camera, in real life you can really see. And I'll show at the end too. I'll tilt the cards in the light so you can see that embossing, and it just love. So I set the card fronts aside for that splatter to dry, and then my main sentiment is this piece wafer die from CZ Design. I'd used this on some previous cards, and I like the shape of it and I like the size of it. So I die cut it multiple times from black cardstock, and then I stacked the 3 layers of cardstock together with craft tacky glue, and then the outline I die cut from vellum and then adhered that to the outline. So once I've got that done, I'm going to do it a second time, because just like I try to do with most of my cards, it's if I've got all the supplies out, why not make more than one? So I've got those sentiments. My splatter's dry, so I want to trim down these card fronts. So I just trim an even amount off each side, because I want to keep the way the design it's literally like an oval of snowflakes, and then it's just kind of blank in the center. So I just trimmed off an even amount until these were basically 4 inches by 5 1/4. I just wanted them slightly smaller than an A2 card front. And then to complete my sentiments, as well as to add something to the inside, I just pulled out the reversed holiday sentiment strips and trimmed down the ones I wanted to use. There was a perfect sentiment there, that peace to you this season. I was like, perfect. So I trimmed that down. And then I trimmed one of the larger phrases down to use on the inside of the card. And then this one, I trimmed the word peace off of it because I don't need that because I'm using the main one there that I die cut. So I did all that trimming with my paper trimmer, and then all the little bits and pieces I just put back into I just use those clear storage envelopes from Simon, and I just keep them all in there, and then I just dive through it when I need them. I've said this before, I really liked the sentiment strips. It's just convenient. So anywho, the other kind of main element on my card is this Holly and Pine frame wafer die. I think this came out last year. Yeah, I'll have a link to it. But I die cut that from some gold glitter cardstock. This one, it took a few passes to complete because this is an extremely detailed wafer die, but the gold glitter paper die cut, no problem. Popped out all little pieces, and then to adhere it to my card, I just added little dots of glue here and there, and then pressed it down, and it adheres, no problem. And I did the same thing with the peace word. And then when that was adhered in place, I put some acrylic blocks on top of it because adhering anything on top of glitter paper, you want to make sure there's some pressure. I prefer liquid glue or using things like foam tape depending on what you're doing, because glitter is like a natural like repellent to adhesive. It's just the nature of it, you know. It's easy adhering it to other things because the backside of glitter paper is just paper, you know. But adhering on top of glitter paper can get interesting. But liquid glue, like the Craft Tacky glue, works awesome. Or again, foam tape, because it just kind of like presses into the little nooks and crannies on glitter, if that makes sense. So I did that with both of the card fronts. And then the inside, I was just going to have those larger sentiments from the sentiment strips. But I didn't want just that. Like, it needed something more. So I just pulled it. Well, I didn't pull it out. It was sitting on my desk in the pile of the mess I have. The Snowflake Season stamp set. This was part of the January 2020 card kit. Or 2021 card kit. And I pulled that out because there was this big snowflake stamp in there. And I inked up the stamp with Delicata Golden Glitz ink. My absolute favorite gold ink. It's gorgeous. I love it. You guys have seen me use it in a million videos. So I inked up the stamp with that, stamped on the inside of both my cards, and then set that aside to dry because it's a pigment ink and it's a metallic. It takes a little while to dry. You can heat set those inks too. It's just, again, whatever works. So you just you need to let them dry because otherwise they will smear. So let those dry. And then the little narrow sentiment strips for the front, I'm going to adhere with Darice foam strips just to pop them up a bit, and as well to adhere on top of the bits of the glitter die cut. So I popped those on and then peeled off the backing and stuck those into place. And then once I have those adhered, my card fronts are done. And then I'm going to adhere those remaining sentiments onto the inside of the cards. And I'm just going to kind of center them on the snowflakes. So the insides will say, "May you be filled with peace, hope, and love this Christmas." So I'm going to get those adhered into place. And then the insides are complete. Once the insides are complete, I will adhere the card fronts to the card base. I'm just going to use my Craft Tacky glue. Again, you could pop this up with like foam tape. It's another thing when it comes to embossed background, like dry embossed like this, that have all that texture. Liquid glue is my favorite. Foam tape is also really, really nice because it just really helps things adhere because you've got like raised edges and all that sort of stuff. So I just adhered those onto my card bases. And again, broken record Amy, you could stop here, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna add bling. Just a bit, not a ton. Not a ton, just a bit. I'm going to pull out my Studio Caudia, pull out as if like I have them stashed away. They've been sitting on my desk for the last 2 months. Studio Caudia Onyx crystals and Studio Caudia Gold crystals. And just a few. I like, generally the rule of thumb when it comes to adding embellishments is odd numbers and sort of triangular patterns. And I take it a step further. I do odd numbers in the sense of like a larger crystal, a medium-sized crystal, and a small crystal. You can kind of see that there. And then odd numbers, and then sometimes I'll add random ones here and there just to kind of break it up. I don't want things to look too rigid. Hopefully that helps. People keep asking me, and honestly, I'm just eyeballing it and doing what I think looks nice. But that's kind of the rules of thumb, but rules are always meant to be broken too. So do whatever looks best to you. So those are the two cards. I'm going to pair these with a couple of black envelopes just to really tie it all together. As always, I will have links below the video to my blog post. I'll have picture links to all the supplies I used on my blog post as well, so you can check that out below if you are interested. I'll link to my Christmas card series for this year thus far. I still plan on doing more. We'll see how long if I can continue doing them until next Christmas. Who knows? We'll see where things go. Have a very happy new year, and stay tuned. I will be posting very regularly now that I'm back up and at it, and I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.